And I also wanted to take a moment for ROV staff and city staff to get to know each other. I know there has been quite a bit of staffing changes that have occurred at the cities. So I would like to ask that all city clerks introduce themselves and their staff to the ROV staff. ROV staff will also introduce themselves at the top of each of their division presentations. So with that said, I'll go ahead and call off each of the cities and ask the city clerk to share their name, their staff's names, and how long they've been with the city. City of Campbell.
Good morning. My name is Andrea Sanders. I am the city clerk in Campbell, and I am joined here today by our deputy city clerk, Kristen Eppolite. I have been in Campbell for 8 years now, the last 2 as the clerk, and Kristen is new to us. She's been here almost oh gosh, almost a year now, huh, Kristen? So that's it for us.
Thank you. City of Cupertino.
Hi there. This is Kirsten Scorsha. I'm the Cupertino City Clerk. I've been with the city since 2010. I've been the city clerk. I was the deputy prior to that. I've been the city clerk for 4 years, and I actually see our deputy city clerk, actually Lauren Saputer is our deputy city clerk. She's in a council prep meeting because we have a council meeting tonight. Yeah, she will watch the video for sure. And she's been here about I think she's probably going on 8 years now as our deputy.
Great,
so
thank
nice
you.
to see everyone.
Nice to see you guys too. City of Gilroy.
Good morning, Beth Miner, the interim city clerk for Gilroy. I've been here about 2 months after having been retired from Palo Alto for 2.5 years. With me today is Bryce Adkins, who is the assistant to the city manager, and Bryce Adkins. And then I also have Kylie, who is our management assistant to help and learn how to do the elections.
Great, thank you so much. City of Los Altos.
I think my city clerk, Melissa Thurman, is in the room trying to get into the call. My name's Taylor Soleno. I'm the deputy city clerk at the city of Los Altos. And like I said, our city clerk here is Melissa Thurman.
Thank you. Town of Los Altos Hills.
Good morning. My name is Erica Miller with the town of Los Altos Hills. I am the city clerk. I've been with the town for 4 months. I have with me our assistant, Karen Brunner. She's been with the town for 5 years.
Wonderful. Town of Los Gatos.
Hi, Wendy Wood, town clerk. I've been with the town for almost 2 years now. And on the call with us is also Deputy Clerk Jenna DeLong, who's been here, I believe, 4 years now.
City of Milpitas.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Gazzetta, City Clerk in Milpitas. I've been here for 2.5 years, I want to say. And yeah, happy to be here. No deputy right now, working on getting that done.
Great. City of Montsereno.
Hi, good morning. Gloisy Gonzalez Langarica here. I'm the city clerk with Montsereno. I've been with the city for over 5 years, but I've been serving as city clerk for a little over a year now.
Morgan Hill.
Hi, Kim Mansera. I'm the deputy city clerk for the city of Morgan Hill. Our city clerk, Michelle Bigelow, is at a conference this week, so I'm sitting in on our behalf, and it's great to see everybody.
Wonderful. City of Mountain View.
Good morning. My name is Heather Glazer. I've been the city clerk here for 3 years. I'm joined today by Mary Momlux, who's our assistant city clerk. She's been here almost 3 years. And our deputy city clerk, Wanda Wong, who many of you probably know has been with the city for many years, is currently attending something else, I think. So nice to see everyone.
City of Palo Alto.
Good morning, Mahelani Ayun. I've been with the City of Palo Alto for just over 2 years and in the city clerk role for just about 2 months. And I am joined today by Assistant City Clerk Vin Nguyen and Deputy City Clerk Christine Pryor.
Wonderful. City of San Jose.
Good morning, everyone. Joy Rodriguez, Assistant City Clerk. I've been with the City of San Jose for about 10 years, the last 5 as the Assistant City Clerk. With me is Mitzi Ikagami. She's one of our Deputy City Clerks, and she's been in the position for about 2 years. But for the elections duties, it's pretty new, so it's pretty new to her. So welcome, everyone.
Thank you. City of Santa Clara. Oh, you're muted, Nora.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Nora Pimentel, Assistant City Clerk. Been with the city of Santa Clara now for over 5.5 years. I run the day-to-day operation. We do have an elected city clerk. I have a deputy. She's not with us right now. She's in a training in the council chambers, but Michelle Estabilo has been with us for going on 2 years. So that's the staff here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. City of Saratoga.
Hi, everyone. I'm Britt Averett. I've been with the city for almost 3 years, and I'm a one-woman show.
As always. And City of Sunnyvale.
Hi, David Carnahan, the city clerk. I've been with Sunnyvale for 5 years, and then we also have joining us today Deputy City Clerk Sandra Barajas, who's been in the clerk's office for like 3 fewer days than me, because the first thing I did was hire her, but she's been with Sunnyvale for about 20 years. And then you may also get some correspondence from, we have a part-time Deputy City Clerk, Danielle Byers.
Well, thank you everybody for your introductions. It was great seeing everybody's faces and getting to know you in that respect as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. The ROV appreciates your attendance and the opportunity to provide you with information related to processes in collaboration with staff during the November 5th, 2024 presidential general election cycle. During the next couple of hours, you'll learn what the ROV requires of your jurisdiction prior to, during, and post-election cycle to be provided with helpful resources and be introduced to our amazing staff. Please sit back and enjoy this 2-hour presentation, and feel free to raise your hand or ask questions at any time. We will stop periodically between division presentations to check in with you. Check to see if there are any raised hands and or address questions in the chat. Thank you, and let's get started. So, move forward. On this slide, you'll find general information for the ROV. Subsequent slides will provide specific contact information for division staff. The Registrar of Voters website has many popular services that can assist you and your constituents throughout an entire election cycle, such as where to find election results, how to register to vote, and how to look up your district among many other helpful resources. And you'll find all those links here on the presentation. You should be able to just click on those links and go directly to those websites. Today's agenda is divided into 12 key sections that includes information related to ROV Executive Division contacts, opening remarks, election night reporting, election night reporting, candidate services, mapping, ballot layout, fiscal, precinct operations, public and legislative affairs, voter registration, vote by mail, and then we'll end with fiscal end with a final Q&A and an open forum. Each division provides specialized services, and at the end of the presentation, you'll have a greater idea of what to expect from each division. And should you have questions, each division section will include contact information. You are welcome to contact each subject matter expert with your questions via phone or email. We'll now move on to the executive division. On this slide, you'll find contact information for the executive division. And at this point, I'll now turn the presentation over to Assistant Registrar of Voters, Virginia Bloom, to provide opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's wonderful to see all of you, and we're very appreciative of your time. So thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Registrar of Voters office. This meeting is in preparation for the upcoming November general election. As you all know, it is a presidential general. So there is quite a bit of activity that is going on. The three executives, Shannon Boucher, is still with this office, and she has been for almost 30 years now. Matt Morales is also still with this office. I believe he's going on 20 years with this particular office. And I am Virginia Bloom. I've been the Assistant Registrar of Voters here since 2015. I will share with you that prior to my coming to the county, I did serve as well as a city clerk for a few different cities. So I am familiar with what you're about to undertake. And from your perspective, I promise that our divisions will work directly with you to make sure that you have the information that you need in order to disseminate to your voters and share information with your candidates. And we really look forward to working with you in this regard. Please do not hesitate to reach out to any one of us should you have any questions whatsoever. We do have two executive assistants here in the executive division, Rocio and Belinda, that do work with the executives. So should you reach out to us and are not able to reach us directly, you can go through our executive assistants in order to reach us. Each one of our division managers are participating in this meeting, and we welcome you to ask any questions that you would like of our operations. Let's go ahead and get started. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Virginia. We are now going to move on to the Election Logistics and Voting Systems Division presentation. On this slide, you'll find contact information for Election Logistics and Voting Systems Division. And I'll introduce Mike Fong, manager, and he will go on to his presentation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Fong. I am with Election Logistics and Voting Systems Manager. I've been with the county for about good 25 years. For today's presentation, I wanted to give you a little bit more information on our election night reporting and election results. I know there's a lot to digest on the page, so I wanted to give you a little bit of a component, what our page looked like. This is what we call election night reporting. And we're going to use the screenshot for now, so that way you can basically look at any of the election night results and have the same information. So one of the things that I want to bring up is that purple circle on the right middle area. This is what we call a voter turnout. This is where any voter who cast a ballot, whether it's good or bad or, went to the voting center or send a mail in, that's where the voter turnout is counted. And typically when a ballot gets in that are eligible, that gets in to be counted. If there's multiple ballots, we typically use the card A or the first card to determine what is the turnout. Now, there are some stipulation to that where if someone votes and did not include the card A, and only send in the second or possibly the third card only, it won't be in the count, but the ballots that are eligible are, all of the votes are tallied. Okay. And also in the middle of the bottom of that image, there are red circles. These are the tally total of the votes, whatever that contest is, whether it's either the candidates and or the yes or no's of different props. And these are the tally votes total. They don't always necessarily match the turnout because in the world of election, we don't require you to vote every contest. So a voter may only vote some or all, or they may even turn in a ballot with no votes at all. So this will tell you what is the tally count for that specific contest. Okay. And at the top of the page where there are yellow envelopes, these are the types of contests. If you go to this page, it will tell you if there's a presidential or state contest or federal offices or local offices or, you know, special districts or measures. It tells you what type of contests they are in this particular tab. And it kind of helps you to see how many contests are in there. In that little box on to the right of the name, it tells you how many contests are in there. So it's easy for you to kind of figure out how many contests are going to appear for the election. Okay. And on the dark blue bar of each contest, there are the contest name. These are the red arrows on the left side of the screen. If you actually click on that red arrow or that contest name, it will take you to another part of the page where it gives you the contest details. So it will give you all of your, you know, in this case, you know, the candidates. And if you keep scrolling down, it will give you a breakdown of precinct by precinct, how the votes are tallied. Give you a little bit more details, and I'll go more into what a precinct is. And on the right side of the report, you'll see a bunch of little CSVs and XLS and XML and text files. And there are these little download buttons. These are for those of you who want to actually look at the raw data and do analysis work or check for certain data or check for certain precinct or certain candidate. These are for who, you know, who like to do database work and do a lot of sorting and analysis work. The same information that you are seeing on our election results page, it is in that raw format that you're welcome to download and look through it in another way that helps you to make, you know, whether analysis work or some sort of, you know, figuring out what the counts in each area or certain demographic that you want to look at, depending on the turnout. So that's one way to look at it. The next item that I wanted to talk about is precinct, quote, quote. There are two terms that we use in our office, and depending on what context of the conversation, and you might have heard before of this too, we usually say precinct. So during the non-election time, we refer to a precinct, it's called a home precinct or registration precinct. This is where you are physically, your physical location in the county that is unique to your jurisdiction, your political, you know, the breakup, the special district breakup, your city, your county, so on and so on. A specific physical location is called home precinct or registration precinct. And we typically use this to figure out, you know, what part of the school district you belong to or what jurisdiction of a political line or, you know, what district you belong to. Now, another term that we use, precinct, during election time is called voting precinct. This is where every election, depending on what district is on the election and what jurisdiction is on the election, you have a unique situation or unique location based on the election. And we are allowable up to 6 home or 6 registration precinct to create what we call a voting precinct. So in a world of 2,000 plus home registration precincts, we have, let's say 800 voting precinct. So if you are trying to figure out what your precinct is, where you voted during an election, you may have a different number, slightly different than your home precinct when you look up your information. We have had voters calling saying, hey, I don't see results from my precinct because I live here, and we have to explain to them what a voting precinct is. And typically on our election page and our webpage, we give you a list. It's called precinct consolidation. It tells you what voting precinct contain what home or registration precinct. And basically a voting precinct, depending on the election, may change from one to another, depending on the registration. And the other one too is because of your home or registration precinct based on your voting, one person may have a different voting precinct than the other, but they live on the other side of the street because that's where the political boundary or the jurisdiction boundary lines are drawn. So that makes a difference too. And because of these voting precinct, it also determines what type or what information you get on your ballot. So one voting precinct from another, depending on the ballot type, may differ depending on the situation, the district, and the contest at a time. And after we go through this, folks, I will upload this little cheat sheet or just a little information sheet that I'm actually talking about now. I'll upload it and onto our chat here so that you can have it for your future. And when you are trying to look up information on election night, or near election, at the end of the election cycle, which is the certification time, you get to see what these numbers mean and how they've been moving or going up or down, or you can make your analysis work. And of course, like Brent said, we are always happy to answer any of your questions you have on any details that you are, trying to figure out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. So we are now moving on to Candidate Services Division. On this slide, you'll find contact information for Candidate Services Division. My name is Bren Lair. I am the manager of the Candidate Services Division, and I'll be speaking with you today regarding key dates and deadlines for office holders and measures, nomination paperwork information the ROV will need from the cities, preparation of resolutions, submittal of resolutions, eligibility to run for office, and rules for counting words on candidate statements. The Registrar of Voters is the County of Santa Clara's elections authority and conducts all federal, state, judicial, county central committee, municipal, school district, and special district elections. This includes regularly scheduled and special elections. Every election starts in Candidate Services Division, an information clearinghouse for anyone desiring to run for an available office, such as Board of Supervisor, Governing Board Member, Director, etc., or for a district or city to submit a resolution calling a candidate or measure election to be placed on the ballot. In preparation of the November 5th, 2024 presidential general election, each city and town must file their adopted resolutions with the Board of Supervisors and the Registrar of Voters on or before the following dates. July 3rd, 2024, which is E125, is the date for submitting resolutions for municipal candidate elections to meet the timeline for a full nomination period. The ROV encourages cities and towns to submit resolutions as early as possible. August 9th, 2024, which is E88, is the filing deadline for measure resolutions. July 15th, 2024, which is E113, is when the nomination period opens. This is the first date candidates can pick up and or file nomination papers. August 9th, again, E88, is when the nomination period closes. This is the last date candidates can pick up and or file nomination papers unless the current office holder does not file their nomination papers to run again. Then that contest goes into extension and goes into the extension period for those candidates wishing to file for said office other than the incumbent. The ROV must receive all candidate nomination paperwork, qualified candidate lists, and which offices are going into extension from cities and town clerks as soon as possible on Friday, August 9th. We use this information over the weekend to determine which contests will be on or off the ballot. As a reminder, pursuant to 10229A12, if your city or town has offices where an incumbent does not file and no one or only one person has been nominated, please inform the ROV if you'll hold your election or make an appointment. Elections Code 10229A3. Also, if your city or town has called measure elections pursuant to 10229A3, then 10229A12 shall not apply and all candidate contests will be on the ballot. City and town clerks were provided forms prior to this presentation that included a resolution template and information sheet with a checklist. It is important to provide detailed information to assist candidate services division staff with ensuring accurate maintenance of candidate and measure files, as well as proper submittal of resolutions. We'll discuss this in more detail on the next slide. City and town clerks were also provided nomination forms. The ROV asks that you have your candidates fill out these additional forms that include the candidate information request form, preferred transliteration form, request for Vietnamese name accents form, and the candidate statement of qualifications form. Should you need assistance on how to fill out the forms, please let me know and we can schedule a one-on-one meeting to discuss. If you choose not to submit in person the original candidate nomination signatures to be verified by the ROV, you must submit a letter of validation. The letter of validation provides that the city and town clerk is validating that the scanned signatures the ROV receives via email are a true copy of the original signatures that were submitted to the city or town by the candidate or by someone authorized by the candidate during your nomination period. The city town clerks also agree to provide the ROV with readable, clear, electronically scanned soft copies of the true original nomination paper. However, if the ROV accepts an electronically scanned soft copy of signatures but determines at a later date that the hard copy of the nomination papers with original signatures are required for the purpose of completing the signature verification process, the city or town clerk must provide the hard copy nomination papers with the original signatures at their earliest opportunity and within the filing deadline of said office. Please note this form need only be submitted to the ROV once, and we must receive it by July 12th, 2024, prior to opening of the nomination period. Among other duties, the Candidate Services Division thoroughly reviews resolutions for election specifications, such as correct election codes, number of offices, and term length, full or short-term statements of qualifications, current mapping, methods to determine ties if applicable, board member names, and if seats are elected by district or at large. The division will work closely with each city or town on sections of the resolutions that may need follow-up. After the review is complete, the Candidate Services Division will process the resolution and distribute to other divisions such as mapping, ballot layout, and election logistics and voting systems. These divisions continue to process your information to ensure GIS maps are accurate, county information guides have correct candidate and jurisdiction information, and our election information management system is up to date with all current contests. City and town clerks must ensure the resolution, 1, specifies date of the election and permits consolidation. 2, requests the Board of Supervisors to permit the ROV to render specified services to the jurisdiction relating to the conduct of their election, which will be reimbursed in full by the jurisdiction. Request the Board of Supervisors to permit the ROV to completely consolidate and acknowledges that the consolidated election will be held and conducted in a manner prescribed in the Elections Code. Describes the number of seats and terms which may include districts, if any, for each seat. Describes office types, office names as they are to appear on the ballot, number of positions and term length, number of years and short or full term. Describes additional requirements for office, if any, such as must be registered to vote and reside within the district boundaries. Clearly states election services for vote center election. Specifies word limit of 200 or 400 for candidate statements, and specifies resolutions of a tie vote by lot or by runoff. And thoroughly reviews measure election resolutions for specifications such as calling for and requesting the ROV to consolidate with statewide election, listing the date, type, and purpose of the election. The measure question is no more than 75 words, ensures there's a passage rate of the measure, whether the full text is to be printed, and which newspaper to publish the notice of election. When receiving resolutions related to measure elections, the Candidate Services Division works closely with each division on sections of the resolution that may need follow-up. Please keep in mind that if you believe there may be a conflict with a measure letter from a subsequent election, you may request to have considered a letter to be skipped by submitting the measure lettering justification form that is due by 5 o'clock p.m. on E88. Please keep in mind that skipping measure letters may not be possible and is not guaranteed, but the ROV will do everything possible to adhere to your request. Submittal of resolutions for office holders and measures should be submitted to the Registrar of Voters and Clerk of the Board's email addresses. However, if a city is submitting a resolution on or before the 88th day deadline of August 9th, 2024, we strongly encourage hand delivery of the copy documents to the ROV's office at 1555 Burger Drive to ensure timely processing. Must be eligible to run for office when one of the following occurs. Please contact our office to confirm the residency requirement of the candidate is met before you proceed any further. City to fill vacancy by appointment, or during nomination time, candidates must pick up and file nomination documents at your office. It is important to know the rules for counting words in a candidate statement. The candidate statement heading includes the candidate's name, which is required, age, which is optional, and occupation, which is optional. These words, however, do not count toward the number of words allowed for the statement. All statements will begin with the words education and qualifications, followed by the text filed by the candidate. The occupation field in the candidate statement is not governed by the same laws pertaining to the ballot designation. Therefore, it may be different. However, if its length exceeds one line, the additional words will be counted towards the final word or line limit. Words will be counted according to the following guidelines. Each word shall be counted as one word except as specified in this section. All proper nouns, including geographical names, shall be considered as one word. For example, city and county of San Francisco, that's one word. Each abbreviation for a word, phrase, or expression shall be counted as one word. Hyphenated words that appear in any generally available standard reference dictionary, also including the online dictionary, published in the United States at any time within the 10 calendar years immediately preceding the election for which the words are counted shall be considered as one word. For example, mother-in-law, first rate, one time will be counted as one word. Each part of all other hyphenated words shall be counted as a separate word. For example, one half, local area, and home page will be counted as two words. Dates shall be counted as one word. Any number considering of a digit or digits shall be considered as one word. For example, 100. Any number which is spelled out shall be considered as a separate word or words. For example, 1 shall be counted as one, whereas 100 shall be counted as two words. Telephone numbers shall be counted as one word. A website address shall be counted as one word. Punctuation shall be counted as one word. Punctuation shall not be counted. Additionally, characters used in place of a word or number and that stand alone, such as an ampersand, a $sign, percentage, or hashtag, shall be counted as one word. Characters used in conjunction with a number and necessary to combine, such as 100 or 100%, are not counted. For example, $100 is counted as one word, while hashtag vote for me would be counted as three separate words because the hyphen symbol is not counted. If the text exceeds the word or line limit, the author will be asked to amend their statement to bring it within the required word or line limit. Thank you for the opportunity to present our division's information. I would like to take a moment to ask if there are any questions.
Where is the line limit listed?
The line limit, it depends on if it's a 200 or 400 word, but the 200 is 22 and the 400, we barely get that, I want to say is 42, something like that. It's doubled.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Or 44.
Thanks.
I had a question.
Oh, sure.
Could you show the hashtag vote for me is 3 words? So if people use that as several words put together, then we would count each of those words separately, even though there's no spaces.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the line limit for each letter in a line, in a sentence? Isn't it like 72 or something like that?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to clarify on that 72 character. That's not a hard, steadfast rule. Is that correct? That's more just to stay within the guidelines of the 22 lines.
That's correct. So if you do have 72 characters across the line, but you have 18 lines, it'll push down and you'll still have room, but you can't go over the word count of 200.
Yeah, but if somebody has 75 characters per line, but they have 18 lines, that's fine.
It typically will work. It depends. We often have to check with our ballot layout division because you'll have to remember certain languages actually increase the amount of lines in that space in the voter information guide. So there's only a certain space amount that you get, and then that's why you have a certain amount of lines, and it'll start moving down as the certain different types of languages are translated in there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was
It
just
fills the
wondering if there
space.
if there was any way maybe in the future to have like an electronic form where it limits the amount of characters and lines so that people understand that. Because I know I had problems with the last election explaining the character length and everything to them.
Yeah, and we can we can work on that. I think it can get a little bit sticky at times. It depends, but yeah, we can certainly work on trying to do that. I have to work with our ballot layout division because it's really more them that requires it, not candidate services. So we have to work with their system. Yeah, but we can certainly look into that. David, you had your hand up, it looks like.
Well, just we use a Word template that it is not a strict guide, but it is pretty helpful. I don't know if I could drop that in the chat. It might be something the ROV or other folks might want to look at.
Certainly, thank you. All right, any other, David, okay. And then anybody else have any questions before we move on to GIS mapping? Oh, one other question, Liz? Or maybe she's got a comment.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. Thank you, Bren. I just wanted to say, if you see that the candidate provided us a statement that is, instead of 72 characters, maybe they have like 80 or 85 characters across, I think it's good to ask the candidates for options in case once we format, if it doesn't fit within the 22 lines, it's good to ask the candidates, in case this doesn't fit, can you, are you okay to wrap a couple paragraphs or a couple sentences just to give options? They can say option 1, option 2, and that way we don't have to reach out to you to let you know that maybe that candidate statement didn't fit. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz, for that clarification. She always does that much better than I do. And there was a couple of comment and a question. So comments, tie votes do happen, so we encourage each of you to include provisions relating to tie votes in your resolutions calling for your general election. We will need to be prepared if you do decide to call the election. So we do want to make sure we understand what you are intending to do there. Beth Miner asked, can we send you our resolution to hold the election in early June? Absolutely. The earlier, the better. Whenever your resolutions are through and adopted through your board, please go ahead and send that off. We like to get them as soon as possible. We do have quite a few resolutions coming through, so it makes it easier for us to review it and get it back, and then questions, and if you have to make changes or anything like that, the sooner the better is best. And David says, looks like I'm not able to share a file in MS Teams meeting. I will share candidate statement template via email. And I guess, David, you'll send that out to everyone. Okay.
Yes, I will.
All right, thank you so much. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the GIS mapping division.
I had one more quick question.
Oh, sure.
In regards to a tie, if it was a tie, is that an automatic recount for the election code? Or I was just curious.
I think we would have to, you'd have to check with your legal division or your legal counsel to determine, but yeah, I think it just just depends. I don't know what the scenario would be, because you're either going to call an election or you're going to make the appointment. Virginia?
So there is nothing in the elections code for an automatic recount based on a tie vote. However, the County of Santa Clara has an automatic recount policy that they've adopted that would apply to city contests if in fact it fell within that range, which is a 25 vote difference.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's what I was referring to. So would that be an automatic, and then whatever we put in the resolution would be the default after the recount?
That's a good question. I would say that you should speak with your legal counsel in that regard.
Thanks.
You, as the city's elections official, I believe, have say in that regard. So I would ask you to reach out to your legal counsel first.
All right. Go ahead and move on. On this slide, you'll find contact information for the GIS Mapping Division, and I'll now turn the presentation over to GIS Mapping Division Bob Nguyen.
Good morning. Thank you for the introduction, Brent. Again, my name is Bob Nguyen. My contact information is also in the OOV website. Because my presentation will have lots of technical information, so feel free to ask me questions anytime during my speech. Thank you. As you know that the redistricting, apportionment is a topic which people find it very complicated and yet interesting to know. Immediately after the redistricting in December 2022, I received so many phone calls and messages about what districts that I will be in for this election, especially in the last presidential primary election in March 5th, 2024. So that's why I want to talk about more about the redistrict reapportionment. Next, please, Brent. It's every 10 years, the United States Constitution and the California State Constitution require federal, state, and local district divisions boundary lines to be reviewed and redrawn, if necessary, for account for population growth and movement within the entire boundaries of the district. This process is known as the redistricting and normally is based on the results of the national U.S. Census. Next, please. So in this slide, I want to mention more about the state Senate district. As you can see in the redistricting 2011 as well as 2021, the even number Senate district change within 2024 election cycle into the 2021 certified Senate districts. And also the odd numbers Senate districts will change to the 2021 certified Senate districts within the 2024 election cycle. So you can see like the state Senate district, they stagger with half of the district in one cycle, and 2 years later, the other half runs. So next, please. The redistricting, normally the basic unit for the redistricting is always the individual home precinct. So as you can see in the slides here, I showed you a sample of the individual precinct boundary on the map, and the home precinct boundary can be described as a geographic area with a unique voting district information which contain information like population, voting age, education, income, ethnics, language spoken at home, etc. And on the right-hand side of my map, for example, in precinct 37, 38, so many different voting districts fall into this precinct 37, 38, 37 boundary. Next, please. And on this slide here, this is a sample of the precinct map, which is described how the precincts group are sorted by a certain voting district of the same kind. And in this particular slide, it is the state senate district boundary 24 and 26, which is drawn by the red lines. And you can see how it follow the street center lines and stuff like that in most of the case. Next, please. This is another example that how the school district is redrawn their district boundary. And in this particular area here, you can see we have 3 different school districts sharing by the same corner of the streets, which is the Cambrian School District, San Jose Unified School District, and the Campbell Union School District. So every school district is shaded with a different every school district is shaded in different color on this map here. Next, please. And this is another example of the same geographic area that is drawn in by the 2010 and 2020 U.S. Census redistricting. As you can see, the precinct, the area that fall within the precinct 8028 in 2010 is like a big, long geographic area. However, in 2020, that precinct has been split by many different smaller precincts, which is 8175 and 8028. Next, please. So we're talking about the redistricting a lot, and I want to talk more about how we process or what is our process of the redistricting, how it happens in the Register of Voters Office. So next, please. The first step of the redistricting process is to encourage the district officials to submit their new redistricting information on time so that we can review how the new district boundaries fit into our precinct data information. Information needed in this process is very important. We will need to have the GIS shapefile with the city council district boundary lines and a list of APN numbers. APN stands for accessors parcel numbers with the addresses by the city council districts. Next, please. Here is an example of the map, which is split by different city council districts in here. The precinct 8,000 numbers represents for city of San Jose. And this is one of the area where the city council district lies cut through the geographic area here. Next, please. And this is another example that the precinct has been split in the redistricting. So as you can see, the new district lines, the red lines, and the old one is black in this area here. So we are splitting precinct 8104 into two smaller precincts with two different district information. Next, please. And this is the same area that it was in the previous slide after we splitting the precincts. So go back to the other slide. Precinct 8104 now becomes two different smaller precincts, which precinct 8182 in one city council district, and 8104 is in a different city council district. And immediately after we do the splitting in GIS, which is the geographic immediately after we do the splitting of the precincts in GIS, Geographic Information Systems, after we review and we start drafting the borders accordingly into the new voting districts in EIMS, Election Information Management System. So in this slide here, this is what you see, how we moving the information from one district to another district with address information with the precise GPS locations, X and Y coordinates in this slide here. So your information is very important to us when you give us the information, especially for the redistricting. Then if the new city council districts follow the postal lines or the city council or the street centralized, then it would be easier for us to work with. Otherwise, yes, Virginia.
I wanted to mention to the city clerks that this information that Bob is sharing also relates to annexations within your cities. So if you're taking in new territory, our mapping division is going to need all of this information in order to update your maps.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Virginia, for sharing the information to the city clerks. As you know, before every major elections, we go through a process of splitting precincts. We review the registration number for all the precincts that is in that election, and with the election code that Virginia mentioned, we splitting any precincts that have over 1,000 registered voters. Normally, we reduce it down to kind of half and half. We split precincts and try to split it evenly, like 500, right, 600 and 400 in 2 different precincts like that. Or depends on how the geographic area for that precinct. We normally follow the major streets a lot during the splitting precincts. And that's it for GS mapping about redistricting. So if you have any question, please do not hesitate to ask.
If you had a couple more slides, do you want to continue on, or were you done?
Okay. Thank you, Brent, for reminding me. In this slide here, the information that you given to us, the list of the AP numbers with addresses by the city council district. We do the geo code addresses, and as you can see, the address is represent the points in the screen here. And once we mapped it with the sorry, when we mapped it with the GS tools, we see them in different colors for easily identify which address has been assigned to what new city council district. Okay, next. And this is the slide that I have mentioned it to you. Once we splitting precincts based on the new redistricting information in GIS, we start drafting the voters with the information from GIS with the XY location, and we start moving them into the right city council district. And this slide show the information with the address information one by one, with the street names, house number, and the X and Y location. Next, please.
That's it, Bob. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
We're gonna go on to our ballot layout division presentation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. On this slide, you'll find contact information for the ballot layout division, and I'll now turn the presentation over to ballot layout manager, Liz Oviedo.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Liz Oviedo, Ballot Layout Division Manager. I have been at my position for 6 years and 25 years with the Registrar of Voters Office. With me is Rachel Kayabyab. She is the acting Ballot Layout Division Supervisor on behalf of Lillian Tsai. And Rachel has been working at the Registrar of Voters for over 5 years. County Voter Information Guides. The Ballot Layout Division is responsible for the production of the official ballots and county voter information guides. The guides are printed in 5 federally mandated languages of English, Chinese, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Tagalog. We also produce electronic versions of these guides. Next slide, please. Official ballots. The official ballots we produce include optical scan, paper ballots, accessible touchscreen, and audio ballots. The remote accessible ballots for the military and overseas, and visually impaired voters. And now this system is available to all voters. We prepared translated bilingual versions of the ballots in the languages of Chinese, Spanish, Vietnamese, Tagalog, Hindi, Japanese, Khmer, Korean, Punjabi, Gujarati, Tamil, Telugu, and Nepali to comply with federal and state mandates. These include official ballots and facsimile ballots in target areas mailed out to voters. These also are available by request at all vote centers and at the Registrar of Voters office. Next slide, please. The declaration of candidacy form and language forms, including candidate statements and all measured documents, are copied and scanned and converted into Word files by our division. We format all these documents and perform multiple rounds of proofs. We process hundreds of documents. We've had as many as 335 unique ballot types in a general election. Each guide is unique depending where voter lives. We have published as many as 230 candidate statements and 32 local measures documents in our guides. And we anticipate that these numbers will be significantly higher in the upcoming election. Next slide, please. For the candidate statement forms, we recommend that all documents are carefully reviewed prior to submitting to our department. It is important that all handwritten information like names of candidates and occupations are legible. The gender information that we ask in our forms is necessary for translation purposes. Any additional markings introduced to these documents during the word count process could become apostrophes or periods when the documents are converted into Microsoft Word format, and this is resulting in multiple rounds of edits and proofs on our end. We format the candidate statements in block paragraphs. Next slide, please. All documents are formatted with standard headings for the measure documents based on our guidelines. We need to know in the original documents where the text begins and where the text ends. If the complete text or the full text includes maps or graphics or images, we would like to request for the cities to provide either JPEG or TIFF files in order for the image to be clear when it's printed on these guides. The titles in arguments and rebuttals, the titles of the signers, need to be clearly marked in the forms. The handwritten names of signers and their titles need to be eligible, and the gender must be specified as well for translation purposes. If the information is not clear, we're going to reach out to candidate services, and then candidate services will reach out to the jurisdictions for clarification. Next slide, please. We have a process called the author review, and the author review process provides you an opportunity to sign off on documents. When our English format is finalized, our division will email you the candidate statements and measure documents for approval. Jurisdictions are provided over 24 hours to review and sign off on the documents. And you will be receiving an email from sec.ballotlayout during that time. And that is all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Liz. Oh,
Britt has her hand up.
Britt, did you have a question?
Liz, I just have a question for that 24-hour notice. Our office is closed every other Friday. About when do we will we receive that notice? I just kind of want to put it on my radar. so that in case it falls around a closed day?
So it's prior to our E-68. We have a, Brent mentioned, we have a printing deadline. The printing deadline, it's about E-68, something like that. So it would be before that. So
okay.
it would be good to just keep an eye for that email from SEC, from ballot layout, SEC ballot layout. And normally we want to give over 24 hours. So sometimes we give 2 days, but the minimum would be 24 hours.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Liz. Is there any other questions before we move on? Okay, sounds good. So we're now going to move on to the fiscal division presentation. On this slide, you'll find contact information for fiscal division, and I'll now turn the presentation over to Rong Kwan, the fiscal division manager.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Brent. So good morning, everyone. I'm Rong Qian. I'm the fiscal division manager. So fiscal division is in charge of all fiscal functions within the department. The relevant functions includes handling the election billings and providing election cost estimates. So to request our cost estimate, you can download the request form online and fill the form sent to our group email address. We normally provide cost estimates within 6 weeks after we receive your request. For November billings, we normally send out the invoices within 60 days after the election. So for this year, it will be around early January 2025. So we use fee schedule to bill for our services. The current approved fee schedule is used for March 2024 primary election. The link is provided in the slide. We develop fee schedule every 2 years. So we are in the process of updating the fee schedule for fiscal year 2025. So it's expected to take effect in July 2024. So the new fee schedule will be applied to the November 2024 election. So we will provide notification to jurisdictions before our board meeting to discuss this new fee schedule. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us or reach out to us in the future. If not, I'm going to pass the presentation to the next division. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Are there any questions before we move on to precinct operations? So we're going to move on to the precinct operations division. Just one second. On this slide, you'll find contact information for the precinct operations division. And I'll now turn it over to precinct operations division manager, Paulo Chang.
Hello, everybody. Good morning again. So my name is Paulo Chang, and my team is actually made. Sorry, can we go back one slide, please? I just want to introduce the rest of our team here. So in our management team, we have myself, I'm Paulo Chang. There's my information, my phone number, and emails. Also, we do have Lance Noddle, who's actually on vacation. He is our elections process supervisor. He's in charge of the training of all the staff that you will find working at the vote centers. Next supervisor that we have in this team is April Barcamonte. She's actually in South County doing a presentation, and she is in charge of finding the vote centers, making sure that we hire all the necessary staff for the vote centers and then scheduling them to come to a class. And so this is the bulk of our team. April also is working or dealing with the outreach program, of which I will talk more about in just a few minutes from now. Thank you. And so basically in precinct operations, what we do is we deal with anything related to the physical presence of a vote center. So when you think of voting and when you think about voting in person, you have to go somewhere, you have to go to a location, a facility to vote. We are the ones who deal with all of those needs. And so basically, up to a year in advance, we start looking for the vote centers, and that is the operations team led by April Barcamonte. She and her crew, they will go out and look for vote centers. They do the ADA surveys to make sure that every vote center is compliant with ADA rules, county, federal, state laws. And then, of course, we look for hiring staff. When it comes to hiring staff, it's a long process. In other words, at some point in June, we'll be start hiring staff to work the November election. And going backwards in terms of scheduling, if the election takes place on November 5th, we cease classes about a week before that, actually 2 weeks before the election day, because we have to account for early voting days and then the setup days. And so the classes themselves will start at some point in early September. Therefore, we need to start our hiring process in June to allow time for everyone to apply with the county, be referred to us, for us to contact everyone, and then schedule them for a class. And so that is what operations does. Besides just finding people, they also deal with outreach, but also we do look for bilingual staff to work at vote centers. About 80% of our staff working at the vote centers is bilingual. Obviously, all of our staff have to speak English. On top of that, we provide up to 13 additional languages, both federal mandated, state and county mandated, and we'll go beyond these needs when we can find bilingual staff. So basically, anyone that is bilingual, you are welcome to work for us, help us out at the vote centers. When it comes to training, there is a team led by Lance Noddle, who's on vacation, cannot be here today. And so what he does, his team, they pretty much prepare the curriculum to teach and instruct and prepare our vote center staff on how to lead the vote center, how to process voters, and how to pretty much provide the best customer service experience we can provide to all of our voters in this county. And so they are in charge of basically training upwards of 1,200 people to work at the vote centers. For the March election in general, we had about 1,300 election officers. Of those 1,300, only about 1,200 showed up to work. And so when we look to hire staff, we always have to hire more than we need because these are all temporary staff. And because we hired them so early, we need to hire more because by the time election comes knocking on our door, some of these staff will find other jobs, and so they're not able to work with us. So we do train them as much as we can. We do have now a new facility that is much better and allows us to be more expedient in our training of our election officers, and said that is actually off campus from Burger Drive. And so if one of you one day volunteer to work with us, you'll come and see our campus here at Radio Park. Again, the most important thing about training, of course, the classes start up to 6 weeks ahead of election day. For this November election, November 5th, it's very likely that our election officer classes will start in early September and basically be Monday through Saturday affairs, 8 hours a day. Okay. Thank you, Brian. Next slide, please. The other component that we also are working with is our outreach, and we basically can split outreach into two groups. We have the regular outreach, which goes out, participates in the community as much as possible. Anytime we hear of an event in which there will be citizens, in which there will be a group of people that perhaps are not so active in voting or are active in voting but want us to be there, we'll more than gladly sign up to be at those events. And so these happen throughout the year. On a regular year, we may top at 300 events. And so the only time we slow down for outreach is as we get close to election, because all of our staff, has to be obviously supporting the election and providing, a lot of work towards the many different facets that are needed to run an election. So that's the only time we slow down. But right now that we are just off of certifying the March election, we of course are ramping up our outreach events, and our outreach, our common or main goal really is to express and spread the word to all voters in this county that we are now a Voters' Choice Act county, meaning everyone gets a ballot to vote from home. And of course, we do have vote centers. And since we do have vote centers, we still need to recruit election officers. So our outreach really focus on spreading the word that there'll be an election in November. Uh, you know, please vote. And also, if you're interested in continuing your civic work, civic duty work, or anything related to that, you can always work with us. And we'll always need people to work at the vote centers. And some of these folks helping us out, they may end up working up to 14 days. So again, that is usually the focus of our outreach events. Now, we also have a high school program, and that is when we go to high schools, we work mostly with the schools and teachers that welcome us. Every year we send out hundreds of emails to different schools, different point of contact, but many of the schools, of course, have many restrictions, security-wise, obviously, which is very understandable. But some of those schools have very proactive teachers, and they always welcome us, and they go way beyond what they can do to ensure that their students are engaged, to ensure that we do pre-registration, to ensure that the kids also have a taste of civic duty by volunteering with us at the vote centers the weekend before and then on election day itself. Okay, so what you see here listed is two emails. We have the outreach at rov.seccgov.org, and then we have the hi.school at outreach or at rov.seccgov.org email. These are the two main emails that you should be using. We do have our outreach election specialist, Natalie Goolsby, but best thing is that you contact us at the main emails that we have, because that way several of us are monitoring those inboxes. And so if Natalie or any of our staff is out on the road at an outreach event, one of us will see that information that you email us, and then we can confirm if we can participate or not, and then ask you more questions. Okay, so these are two main emails. Please keep these emails. If you have a social or a civic group in your organization, please forward this to that contact so that they keep us in mind. Anytime your city has an event, we'd love to participate in your city sponsored event so we can then promote voting and also try to get more of your voters in your area to work at the vote centers we have in your city. Okay, so that's always a plus if you can be a part of your outreach programs and just being in the community. Thank you, Brian. The next slide, please. Okay, so let me just give you a little bit more information about the high school outreach. So high school outreach, basically already we've been to about 20 different events, and we'll be doing more this summer and throughout as school starts. Now we do vote education. In other words, we try to encourage all these young adults to vote. Many of these young adults may have family or relatives who have not voted before, so we are trying to steer them in the direction of becoming more civic minded. We also encourage these kids to help us out at the vote centers, and if they don't want to work at the vote centers, they can always help us out in the office. So we're always looking for students to help us out anywhere as much as they can with us. We do also have plenty of registration drives. We have this pre-registration package that we get from our PLA team from Evelyn, and so we tend to distribute these at the high schools. They're always a hit. And again, when it comes to our message at high schools, is that all these young adults have to be is 16 years old. At 16 years old, they can pre-register, and then as soon as they turn 18, we'll automatically send them a postcard reminding them that they can vote at the next election. And so that is always a plus. We always get so many kids to sign up or actually to register to vote, and they'll be ready to vote at the next election. When it comes to working, as I said earlier, we would like the kids or these high school students to work at least 2 days. That would be one Saturday or one Sunday, and then election day itself. Now, everyone that works with us at the vote centers, they get paid. So they are either hired as part-time county employees, for example, the leads at the vote centers, the aides at the vote centers, but student volunteers and adult volunteers who are basically our greeters, they get paid a flat fee that accumulates up to $245. And that includes, we pay a little bit of a stipend for attending a class. If the student is bilingual, they get another flat fee. If they work 2 days, that's $100-something a day. So all in all, it could be each student can really make up to $245 for working 2 days while being a part of a voting process. This is great. Again, I don't know if there's any one of you here that has connections to your school district, but this is a great way for the schools actually to have their students create their own student groups, and so they can fundraise a lot of money and for their specific, any organizations that would like to work with. So if you just have 10 high school students in a high school and they each make $245, that's a lot of money they're making right there. Okay, so you're talking about close to $2,500. Okay, so this again is a great way to introduce high school students to not only voting, but to participate in voting, but also get their peers, their fellow high school student friends to participate with them. And this again is the high.school email that I was mentioned about earlier. So please feel free to email us and one of us will reach out to you. It could be April, who is also, of course, dealing with this, or Abel, which is currently our high school staff person helping us out. Next, please. And so let me now move and talk a little bit more about the vote centers. Okay, so as you all know, you'll be voting for a president on November 5th. We've just had a primary election. And so pretty much what happened in March in terms of our logistics, in terms of our preparations, will happen again in November. Currently, we did have our training team. They're already going through the manuals and switching from primary instructions to general election instructions so the voters know what to do. Okay, as of now, it could be that we end up with 104 vote centers, but that we'll know a little bit better in a few months from now. Also, April's team, who deals with operations, when she hires vote centers on a presidential year, she will hire vote centers for twice in the same year. So, for example, if I hire, a community center in San Jose, then we'll do our best to hire that community center not only to be an election vote center in March, but also to work in November. Voters are creatures of habit, so if they go to a specific location for the primary, they expect to return to that same location for the November election. Okay, so everything we do has already been contracted for November. Usually, we use community centers, university halls, churches, school district offices, and then nonprofit centers. I'm glad to say, though, that I think we had our biggest inroad for this past March. We were able to work with the library management in San Jose, or one of the library managements, and they, through this one person, he was able to buy into the need that each library can provide to those local communities. And so we actually got 7 vote centers, all approved by one person that basically dictated those branch managers to make their libraries available to us. And so to us, that's a huge plus because it means our election specialists don't have to go and talk to 6 individuals, try to convince 6 individuals to have the votes, to make space available for us for the duration of the early voting days. But instead, we actually have the upper management, the actual, people who make the decisions, see the need that those communities have to have a vote center, and they can designate specific community centers, or in this case, libraries as vote centers. So for us, basically, in one process, with one contact, we're able to get 6 vote centers. So that will be my appeal to all of you, city clerks, and all of you that deal with your cities. It'd be great if your city could sponsor vote centers in the future. It would be great if you can get a hold of us a year ahead of every presidential year, for example, and let us know that you perhaps are concerned about specific areas in your community that don't get to vote. Let us know so we can talk with you, investigate, see what is doable, see that those locations meet our area requirements, meet our needs, and then perhaps in the future we can have be more active with you in finding vote centers through yourselves instead of us having to contact 100 people to then finally find 10 vote centers. Okay, so that's something that we'd like to hear from all of you. Now, let me just move to November. Now, the more important thing, because we have this new Voters' Choice Act program or implementation, really, or voting model, is that the election day will be on November 5th, but vote centers will open up to 2 weekends before election day. So meaning everyone in the county of Santa Clara County, no one has an excuse to not vote. Okay, you basically can start voting 29 days before election day. On October 26th, we'll open the doors for anyone to vote. And then on November 2nd, we'll have 104 vote centers as of now available to anyone to vote. Okay, and of course, people still wait and come and vote on Tuesday. And so we need to remind everyone in this county that voting starts 29 days before as a mail ballot voter. But if you do want to vote in person, you have 2 full weekends to vote in person. There's no need for anyone to rush home on a Tuesday night to vote and try to beat traffic and get home in time. Okay, so that would just be something that, again, that we talk mostly about at our outreach events. So if any one of you would like us to come over and speak at your city meetings or your community meetings, let us know. We'd gladly go talk to your communities about voting, so they understand that voting has gotten so much easier and better for everyone to vote. And this is why I'm here talking to you guys. Okay, thank you, Brent. Next slide, please.
And Paulo, we are running a little bit out of time, so if you can
Sure.
speed up a little, thank you.
I'll do that. Sorry. I'll do
Okay,
that.
thank you.
In fact, I think I have 2 more. Okay, so I will post here on the chat the link. If you have anyone, if you have a hiring program for your community, I'll post the link that shows how anyone can apply to work with us at the vote centers. These, of course, are only temporary jobs for the duration of the early voting days, but everything is very self-explanatory. Their information will be available on the link that I post. Please feel free to call me, call April, call us, call any one of us. We'll be more than glad to spend time with you on the phone or in person if needed to explain more about this, okay? The important thing for all of you to remember is that when someone applies to work with us as a temporary staff, they have to go through the whole county process of hiring, okay? So it's not something that I can just get someone to give me a verbal over the phone. It's a whole process they have to go through, okay? Okay, next slide, please, Brent. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, classes will start in September. In June, we'll be doing full hiring. And so if there's anyone who would like to work with us, please remind them to apply early. Don't call us the week before election, say, hey, I want to work, because by that point, classes have already closed. And if you do not take a class, if you're not a certified election officer, you cannot work at the vote center. Okay, so this is something that people don't get. To work at the vote center, you have to be approved by us, you have to follow certification, and there's a lot of things, as you know, we have to go through to make sure that everybody can vote at the vote center. Vote center work days, up to 13 days. Anyone that works at our 10-day vote centers, they work up to 13 days. We also have 4-day vote centers, they'll work up to 7 days. And that includes, of course, you still have to go to a class, which is up to 3-4 days. You still have to spend 1 day for the setup and then the actual voting days. Okay, so again, I can tell you more about this anytime you want, and you can actually find this on our web page. Next one, Brent. Okay, so what does Voters' Choice Act mean? It basically means more days, more ways to vote, as Virginia just put here on the chat. This means that unlike the way everyone's been voting for almost a century, which is only for 1 day, all of us, most voters in the state of California can now vote 29 days ahead of election day itself. Okay, so there's a lot to gain about this, and that is, for one, in this county, everyone is mailed a VBM ballot. Okay, so there's no point of on you coming over and have to drive somewhere, park somewhere, and then go and vote in person. Everything is now mailed to you. It's at your fingertips at home. You can vote with your family at the dinner table, and they mail it into us. What also and that's pretty much it. Okay, so that's the Voters' Choice Act, which means we have new technology, but most of all, everyone's mailed a ballot to vote from home. Okay, Brent? All right, so technology-wise, anything you need to find about voting in this county, all you have to do is come and visit our webpage, okay? Be sure to tell your constituents, tell your citizens in your cities, in your districts, don't believe everything they see on YouTube and Instagram and everywhere else they see. If they want the best information, they have to visit our webpage. Our webpage has the list of where the vote centers are, where they can drop off their ballots. And of course, we have search engines. We have our own applications where people can enter their address and they'll be given a list of the nearest vote centers to go and vote, okay? If anyone wants to get a hold of, hey, my community center could be a great vote center, how can I contact you guys? Well, just come to our vote center, to our webpage, and you'll find our contacts. But right now, you already know that you have to contact April Bracamonte, myself, or Les Noddle, and we'll help you out. Okay, Brent. Okay, so technology. Now, the best thing about Voters' Choice Act, again, not only it allows us to vote early, but it allows anyone that may have difficulty in voting, they can now vote in person on a touchscreen machine. We do have the REVBM voting, from home. We do have electronic poll books. Voting is so much easier, so much faster. In fact, every election that we've had since the beginning, since March 2020, more and more people at the vote centers are opting to vote on a touchscreen machine, because if you vote on a touchscreen machine and you change your mind, you can always go back and forth and change it. If you use a paper ballot and you make your selection and then you change your mind, now you can't. You have to actually be reissued a new set of ballots. And so the best thing about the Voters' Choice Act, the best thing about Santa Clara County is that we do have electronic voting. You are sent a VBM ballot sent to you early. And so those are the benefits of being in this county, of voting this county throughout the year. Now, if you ever need any sort of promotional materials, please call us or please contact us at outreach or hi.school email. Okay, so let me just wrap up right now. Thank you so much for listening to me, and sorry for taking so much time, but thank you guys, and I'll looking forward to hear back from you.
Thank you, Paulo, for expediting the rest of your presentation. I'll also ask the last three divisions to expedite their presentation as well, as we are running short of time. So we are now going to move on to our Public and Legislative Affairs Division presentation.
All right. Hi, my name is Evelyn Mendes.
Hold on once.
I'm fast. You said to expedite.
I know, we're expediting. We're going fast. Well, go ahead. This is just the information on the Public and Legislative Affairs contacts information. And this is Evelyn Mendes, our PLA manager. Hit it.
Hi, everybody. I am Evelyn Mendes. Like Brent said, the Public and Legislative Affairs Division Manager, and I could speed through mine because if we're doing our job right, you already know what we do, right? So we'll go through our slides pretty fast. Go ahead, Brent. So one of the things that we're responsible for in my division is to help get the word out on all of the things and highlight all the great things that everybody just talked to you about for the last hour and a half. So voter language workshop series that precinct operation does with our ballot layout division, making sure voters have access to the information in all of the different languages. They do an entire series of all the languages that were required before every election. Like Paulo said, it is almost time to start now hiring. So we are going to get ads out for now hiring. So our team creates all the advertisements, make sure they get out there into the community so people know there's an election coming up. We need about, a couple thousand people, like Paulo said. As far as our community out there that needs accessible voting equipment, we do a voter accessibility workshop where we highlight the equipment that they use at the vote center and ways to give access to all of the voters in our community. So that's another thing that we help promote before the election. And then we have our regular ads that you'll see all around the county. Hopefully you guys have seen them, but you will see them in the next few slides. Go ahead, Brent. So we always do a partnership with VTA. This is a great way to get out there in all of the areas around the county. So we have ads on the buses, on the back of the buses, on the side of the buses, in the malls, on the billboards. You might have seen our big ad on Highway 101, outside of the San Jose Sharks SAP Center, and in other locations around the county. If you guys see a location and you're like, hey, this is a great spot for an ad, communities that aren't seeing the message, let us know and we can reach out to them and have advertising in that area. So we work really hard to make sure that we get throughout the entire community. Like I said, VTA is all over the county, so that helps. And then along the major highways is a good location. But a lot of people find different spots and they'll tell us about it, and we'll look into it and get the advertising out there. Slide. So for the first time, we also did Hulu ads, and this was Hulu ads targeted in our county. So that was kind of a new exciting thing for those that still have ads on Hulu. And then we also have at the movie theaters, at all the Century movie theaters on all the screens, they had our ad playing there before every movie. And then YouTube did it. We also did videos on YouTube. And this mobile billboard that you guys may have seen, it's the truck in the upper right-hand corner that traveled around the county. So it stopped in specific areas that we were saying were high traffic areas, which we kept finding that the high traffic areas were mostly all of the Costco's in our county. But so we had them stop in those different areas and targeted areas. We are going to have that mobile billboard truck traveling around the county where we have a special election coming up in May. So look out for that if you are in that area. Next slide. So we are very active on our social media, as you heard from everyone. Every piece of what everybody does on this in the registrar's office is highlighted here. Whether if it's outreach, we're mentioning where they have outreach events. If it's a workshop, we're telling you where the workshop is. So it's the most up-to-date current information and highlights on anything that may have changed. So if Palo tells us, hey, a vote center closed down, then we will put it on there. If mapping has something that they want us to highlight, we'll put it on there. So our social media, we're active on all of our social media platforms. So if there's anything that we need to get out there right away, election results or, candidate filing deadlines, we will post it on there. It's the most current information. We always try to encourage people to go to our website or to our social media for the most trusted election information and not get false information out there from random sites that they're just getting information from. So follow us on SCC Vote. We have Twitter, not Twitter anymore. It's called X, I guess. Facebook, social, Instagram, Nextdoor, and YouTube. And what's good about Nextdoor is we target it in specific area codes. So like I said, we have a special election coming up in May, Saratoga area. So we will be highlighting and posting advertisements in those specific areas. So if you aren't following us already, follow us at SCC Vote. We are also one of the only counties in California to have a podcast. So follow us at our podcast at Election Connection. Next slide. So as you can imagine, we do a lot of interviews. So as far as interviews go, in the last March election, I want to say we reached almost 100 interviews just on highlighting all the different things that are different for different elections. In March, you guys probably already know, but you had to be in a party to pick a presidential candidate. So it was a big task for us to explain that to the news media, to all the voters out there. So that was something extra we needed to do. Our ballot layout and precinct operations team help us out immensely with the interviews that are in other languages. So every language we have, if we have a media day, all the team is hands on deck that can help us with other languages are there to make sure that we're doing interviews, not just in English, but in all the other languages to provide that service for our voters. It was very helpful. Liz Oviedo, all-star that did a lot of our Spanish, and Claudia. And it was very helpful to us to have bilingual staff in our office to help us with all those interviews. On 2 weeks before the election, and we would like to invite you to it, we do have a media day. Media day is a big day for all of us. Paolo's team, Mike Fong's team. I think every single team has a hand in putting on the voter accessibility workshop that goes on the same day as media day. It's just a way to highlight the equipment. Like I said, if anyone wants to test out how to use the vote center equipment, Paolo's team puts together a great vote center demonstration that shows exactly how to use everything when you walk in, how to sign up, how to step by step. It's great resource, and I know the media loves that on media day to show voters step by step, so no one can say they're confused. We show them every single day. We're open early. We have on site a demo. We have a workshop afterwards. We have language workshops before. We have interviews throughout. It's going to be very busy in November. My team right now I have a team of 2 associate communication officers, and right now they're busy doing interviews, like present time, the second doing interviews for the recount. So Very busy, but like I said, we have our media day that we invite you to come see. It's pretty spectacular to see like everybody working together that day to make sure that the public sees all the processes. So they can go to the vote center demo with Paolo's team, and then they can go to the warehouse to view Mike Fong's operation, or they can go to, candidate services or vote by mail. So it's a pretty good open way to show everybody what the election process is for us on our side. And
I think that's it for you, Ev.
one more, legislation. I think. No?
Oh, yes.
Yes. So legislation, always a good topic. It is a way for us to get our input in on any bills or laws that want to change. Our office or our division is the liaison between the Capitol and between the county. So if we have any, or even in the Registrar of Voters office, so if we have anything or ideas that we want to share on laws that we could change or any input to changing the election code, that goes through our team. I am very proud of the ROV because a lot of what we say, a lot of the different counties take into consideration our input, especially when it comes to VCA and when it comes to anything related to the ballot or legislation or tracking of anything. Or so I feel like we have a good say into what goes on when it comes to legislation. But like I said, we track when the bills, like how they're going through the Capitol, and report them back to our office, and then identify if there's anything that we need to do different in our office to implement the laws. So pretty big task. I would say that, I mean, both are just as important, advertising and legislation. Advertising, important to make sure that we get the word out and we make sure that everybody knows that they have one vote. Make it count, like Paolo emphasized too, with outreach. It's important for people to know that they need to register to vote, but they also need to register and they need to vote, not just register to vote. So that's our message that we like to make sure that everybody hears, because in November we would like a bigger turnout than we had in the primary. So that's our goal, and we hope that you can help us out with it. If you have any partnerships that you have, or you have organizations that say you want to partner up with precinct operations or with our team, just give us a call and we will set something up. And that's all for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ev. And we do have, just so everybody's aware of the time, we are coming up on that noon hour. We still have 2 more divisions to go through. We are recording this, so if you cannot stay afternoon, you are welcome to leave if you need to, or you're welcome to stay, either way. I will also try to pull all the information out of the chat and send that over to you with a link to the recorded presentation, so you have all that information as well in an email. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and move on to our voter registration division.
Hi, everybody. My name is Janora Blow. I am the Election Process Supervisor for Voter Registration Division. And our Election Division Coordinator, Julia Sines, is unable to attend today, so I'll be presenting on her behalf. So let's get started. Voter Registration Division is responsible for voter file maintenance, various types of signature verification, customer service, both over the phone and in person, and so much more. Federal law requires California Department of Motor Vehicles to provide customers with the opportunity to register to vote during a driver's license identification or change of address transaction. Unless the voter chooses to opt out of the automatic voter registration, voters will automatically be registered to vote. The DMV will also update existing registrations if voters do not opt out of voter registration. Since the program launched in 2018, we've seen an increase in our registration by more than 100%. Next slide. The ROV has 30 working days from the date petitions are filed in our office to verify the validity of signatures. Initially, we use random sampling techniques of verification. Upon completion of random sample, the county ROV will immediately certify and send results to the city clerk's office or proceed with a full count as necessary. An official memorandum will be provided to the city clerk's office in the months ahead. Next slide. Again, on petitions, ROV will verify 500 signatures or 3% of the number of signatures filed. This is based on whichever number is greater. After verification, the petition will be found insufficient if the projected number of valid signatures shows less than 95%. In this scenario, the petition will not qualify. If the total number of projected valid signatures is more than 110%, the petition will be found sufficient enough to qualify. The ROV will have 60 working days from the date of filing to complete a full count if the random sampling technique is complete and the number of projected valid signatures shows between 95 and 110%. Last slide.
I think that was it for you, Janora.
Yes, any questions? No? Okay. Well, our contact information is available should you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Janora. We are now going to move on to our vote by mail division presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the last divisions to be reporting. My name is Alfred Gonzalez, and I'm the election division coordinator, along with Pamela Hamilton. She's our election process supervisor. I believe majority of the city clerks probably have contacted or talked to her. And slide. Next slide. So returning ballots, vote by mail is actually everyone gets vote by mail 100% on this county. They can return their ballots with these three categories: mail, returning their ballots by mail, so they could send it to the post office, no charge of postage, and the ballot must be postmarked on or before election day. Or they could go to 100 plus vote center. Those are available, which Paolo reported. And our Dropbox, we have 100 plus Dropbox around the county of Santa Clara. So those are available 29 days prior to the election. So they'll be delivered and ready for those locations. Next slide. Replacing the ballots, basically anyone can replace their ballots in case they made a mistakes. They just let us know, or they could contact us. They could give us a call, send us an email, or just, we prefer the request is 7 days prior to the elections, because we need time to mail those ballots, and we need the voter have time to return the ballot. So 7 days is an election code timeline for requesting ballots by mail. They could also do an in-person. We have our office is open 29 days prior to the election, the vote centers, and yeah, they could always come to do an in-person. And then we are encouraging voters if they request for another ballots, if they made a mistakes, they could destroy or discard them. And our system, our election system, is actually have a safety features that once the voter voted, the other ballots that we issued will automatically be voided. So each voter can only vote once. Next slide. So if a voter doesn't want to use our vote by mail ballots, they could always go to Paolo's vote centers locations. So as he mentioned, we have 100 of those. They're very convenient. It's almost like a replica of our office. Whatever we provide services, vote centers also provide those services. And then we also have this another methods of voting, which is the remote accessible vote by mail voting. This is a way of, in case that the voter was designed first for voter with the disabilities and the voters who are overseas or military. But ever since 2 years ago, this is available to all voters starting on E-29. Anyone in the county of Santa Clara are available. The remote accessible vote by mail system is available. So they can use them. They could access this through their computer. It's not connected online. They have to vote it on it, and they have to print those ballots and mail it back to us. Okay, and that's the so in case that the for scenario they made a mistake using the BBM ballots, they can actually use the remote accessible vote by mail on the spot. All they need to do is just go to our ROV services, and they can access their ballots through that process, that system. Next slide. It's 12 o'clock. All right. So everyone must probably familiar with these boxes. There is a 24-hour boxes that's available for all 100 locations. I would like to express a gratitude to all our city clerks who been participating for the Dropbox program for more than 10 years now. I am so grateful for the support that you've been providing. Actually, this coming May, or this May election, we have 3 locations already. We have the Saratoga, Los Gatos, and I think it's the Monte Serrano city halls. We have drop boxes there. So we're looking forward for the future elections, the May and November. Please continue to support the Dropbox locations that we are requesting. And thank you very much. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me or Pam. And have a good day. 12:01. Bye.
Thank you, Alfred. Any questions for Alfred? Okay, well, we'll go ahead and conclude this presentation. Your feedback and comments are important to us. We want to ensure a successful election experience. Please send questions to contacts listed prior to each division's information segment. Someone will get back to you within 48 hours. And again, I will be sending out this recorded link to this presentation, as well as extracting all the valuable information that was in the chat and some of the questions, so that you all have that information available to you as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon, and we'll be talking with you soon.
Thank you, Bren.
Thank you, Bren.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.